Morning. Whew. Well, good morning again. Good afternoon, whenever you're watching the video. Welcome back to the Gulf State Park. It is, what day is it? I think it's day 9 for this ride. It's the 10th of August. It's our 9th ride. I did do a ride yesterday, but it didn't turn out very well. Well, I mean, the ride turned out fine. What didn't turn out was the camera footage. Yes, more technical difficulties. So I bought this new camera, and I am no photographer. Frame, shutter speed, white balance, all that other stuff. Man, I'm old school. I started out doing video back in the old days where when we white balanced, you had to use a piece of cardboard and you had to take a shot of it to white balance the camera. So, and a lot of shutter speed and stuff like that didn't matter back then. It was all aperture and manual stops on the lens. So I'm just getting into all this stuff, but I tried to make some suggestions because on these early morning rides when it's cloudy, you know, I have the camera set up for nice sunlight, and this is probably going to turn out to be a kind of dark video. Because I still have it set up for brighter days. And as I got riding out this morning, it's stormy. There is rain in the area, so we might get wet. But I had set it up for, I made a preset so that if I went out and it was early in the morning and kind of dark, I could use the preset until the sun had come up, and that would give me lower light conditions, right? So I had set the white balance at like 5,000 Kelvin, and then I'm using 5,600 for the rest of the day. And you have a menu where if you have the vision dock hooked up to the camera, you can see what settings you're on and everything else like that. But when I have the helmet, when I have the camera on my helmet, I rely on the presets to be, if you press the button one time and the camera starts, it pulls the last preset that you used into the camera automatically. Whereas if you double press, you can have a pre-selected setting that you use. So I've been doing the double press because I like the 5600, but yesterday for some reason I I pressed and I started the camera thinking that it was gonna roll into that setting that I have for 5600 because I got a late start yesterday. I didn't get out the door until like 7 o'clock. So it was nice and bright, beautiful day. And there was no need for me to worry about low light conditions. So I just did my little double press. At least that's what I thought. Anyways, it ended up registering on the camera as a long press. So the camera was it started up but didn't go into record mode. And so when I did put it in record mode, it went into the last preset that was on the camera, and which was the low light setting. And I couldn't see a single thing when I got home and got ready to edit the video. Everything was white and green. It was so overexposed, washed out, that even I couldn't recognize some of the features where I was at. So there was no amount of color correction in post that was gonna adjust that mistake. So, no video. I can tell you, we put like 22 miles on the bike yesterday. And I ended up with pushing my total for August to, get this, 199.2. I was 0.8 of a mile from breaking 200. So that was that. I was like, really? 0.8 of a mile? I could have ridden around the church parking lot twice and gotten that. But it was a decent ride. I got in my miles yesterday, and that's all that matters. And we're back at it again today. As I said, there's rain in the area. From when I just checked the radar at the park headquarters, it looked like there was a big sail coming across the island down to the west of me, where if I had gone down Fort Morgan Road, I probably would have gotten wet. But I decided to come into the park today, since our last video you would have seen would have been on Fort Morgan Road. I decided to come into the park and ride. I've got the rain gear on the bike, so if it does rain, I'll just zip it up and suck through it. I'm not going to try to get major distance today. I'm just going to get a nice ride in to increase the tally. I'd like to hit 25 miles. I'd like to be done with this challenge in 4 days. If I get 4 decent rides in of 25 miles or more, I finish up on Thursday of this week. Oh, look at the deer. Hi, deer. There she goes, walking off into the woods. Not really they're not really that skittish in the park. So, a couple of days ago, when I rode to Alabama Point and back, I was taking a rest down in Catman, and my sister came riding by. And I saw her. Apparently, she came up through here. That was the same day I saw like a whole group of deer right in this area, right? So apparently she came in maybe an hour behind me. There's another one. Maybe if I shut up, I'd actually get closer to one, but And this is right where they were last time. So anyway, she came in here. She said one came out in front of her as she was coming down the road. And to hear her describe it, it was huge. She sent me a screenshot of it from her camera perspective, and I couldn't really tell much about it. It was really blurry. But she was like, it was huge. And it scared the snot out of me. I had to lock up all my brakes and all this stuff. So, which I've been working on getting her to practice braking on these e-bikes, because they don't stop like a traditional bike. You know, she's got an APOS bike, and if you spend any time on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen an ad for them, because they're all over Facebook. But you know, they're all right. They're a cheap Chinese bike that they're not the greatest components, but they're still an entry-level bike. They're not bad at all. I actually, when I was considering getting a bike, I considered getting one of their bikes because they say they have a 500 weight capacity on it, 750 motor with all this ridiculous amount of torque or power, and then their torque numbers were great and everything else like that. So it looked like a decent option for a bike. And it was, at the time, they were running like a combo deal where you could get two bikes for one price. And I thought, I'll get two bikes for the price of that Velotric. And that'd be awesome, you know? That way, you know, quality concerns or concerns about durability of any bike with my weight. And I thought, well, if I can spend $2,000 on a Velotric, or I can spend $2,000 and get two APOSes. And luckily I went up to the bike shop in town. Real nice guys there. I sat and talked with them. I'd actually talked to them on the telephone before I went to see them, because, you know, I asked the hard question, you know, like, look, these bikes say they have a 500 capacity. Is that realistic for a guy who weighs 450 to get on a bike, you know? I'm not supposed to do that. Sorry, signage drainage is bad. It did rain here this morning. So, you know, I spent a lot of time, and I gotta say, Darren, the guy that owns the place, man, he spent like an hour on the telephone with me talking about bikes and limitations and doing calculations and going, well, okay, the bike frame weighs X, and then you weigh X, and then if you got on this bike, you'd be okay, you know? And he just went through, you know, he didn't judge me or anything else like that. He just wanted me to get a bike. And so I went there, and he was like, you can ride anything you want to ride. We'll take it out. There's a place behind the place. You can go ride for a bit and get used to it. And I did. I went and rode bikes, and I got this one and rode it, and it just felt so comfortable. The handlebars were nice and wide. The bike itself was just easy to get in and out of with the step-through frame. It had full suspension on it. He adjusted the, you know, First time I sat on it, the suspension was set up kind of light. He went, readjusted the suspension, got it all set up for me so that it could carry my weight, and let me ride it again. And I just, at that point, I was like, okay, this is the bike for me. It's here, it's local. If I have any problems with the bike, I can get it serviced local. I got a warranty on it through the dealership, you know. Well, it's backed by the manufacturer, but I can take it locally to a dealership, and, you know, they can pull parts off of another bike to get my bike out the door instead of having to wait for parts to come in off a mail order. Which, with that A-Pass, like if something goes wrong with it, you got to order it, and customer support from them is not very good. So I made the right decision anyways. Good morning. So anyways, but I was trying to get back to my original story. I was telling my sister, I said, you need to go out and practice stopping this bike. You know, getting on the rear brake, then, you know, 70% of your stopping comes from your front brake, but you need to use you've got to be able to control it. And so I was getting with her about, you know, learning, get out there, practice coming to an aggressive stop. Because at some point you're going to have to slam the brakes on to stop for a car, or you're going to have to slam the brakes on because somebody runs out in front of you or whatever, right? You're going to come on a situation where you've just got to hammer the brakes. And the one thing you don't want to do is go over the handlebars, you know? So, you know, luckily she heeded that advice, and she has been practicing stopping, and so when it came down to it, she was ready to get down on it and come to a halt. Oh, the slippery wind soaking wet bridge. Good morning. Yeah, I stayed on my row of nails. That's all that's important. I love these bridges and the fact that they're cool, they're cozy. Like if you're walking through the park, these are nifty, and even biking, they're nifty. But the interactions on the bridges, that's a whole nother story. Like I just feel like I can get as far right without running into the side of the bridge, and I still feel like I'm gonna clip handlebars with somebody or whatever, because it seems like everybody gets really nervous going across the bridges, you know? Or you meet somebody who's going way too fast. Good morning. You come across the people who are riding their bikes with just throttle, and they're hauling ass through the park, and they don't have time to correct themselves, so they're in your path. You know, you're just gonna run the risk of hitting them. Don't get me wrong, I am not anti-throttle. I am pro-throttle. I love my throttle for several reasons. Mainly for starting at intersections. Just helps me get the bike rolling so I'm stable on it while I get both feet on the pedals and get moving through the intersection, and let me get my momentum naturally after that. But people who are just riding the throttle, that's a whole nother story, especially if you're riding at a ridiculous speed. It's how people get hurt. And then you get those increase in accidents related to e-bikes. I was having a conversation last night with a buddy of mine, and he had watched my video from the day before, where I went on my little rant about accident numbers being conflated by the, you know, maybe being proportional to the amount of increase in riders. He's like, you're somewhat right on that, but he said, the real thing is, it's not the number of new e-bike riders, it's the number of senior citizen e-bike riders that has increased, right? Because 20-year-olds who take a spill on a bike are less likely to sustain a more serious injury as a senior citizen is. And by senior, they classify anybody my age and up. They might even be 50. I know 55 is, because I was shocked to find out I was a senior the other day. But comes the little Kubota guy with his jet dryer. Morning. So I ran a test. Oh, anyway, so finishing up. Anyways, he was talking about senior citizens and the correlation between, you know, them and accidents. And just stating that, you know, you've got more adults out here riding that might be taking more injuries because they're more prone to injury in their later age. And, you know, somebody may fall off their bike, you know, just in a parking lot. I've done it. And if they get injured, break an arm, like, I took a tumble when I first bought this bike. I might have had it a week or two. And I was in that phase of, I was happy to ride 5 miles a day and felt a sense of accomplishment anytime I did 5 times. I would do like 5 miles in the morning, 5 miles in the afternoon. Or 3.5 and 3.5 or whatever, you know. It was my baby step period of how many miles I could accumulate in a day. And I went for a ride and was riding around the parking lot up at the Catholic church and felt like I needed to make an adjustment to my seat post because it just didn't feel high enough. And I thought, well, maybe it slid down or whatever. So I pulled over to the side of the parking lot, and to make it easier for me to get off the bike, I thought, well, I'm just gonna step on the curb here. I'll pull up next to the curb, step off on the curb. That'll give me a little elevation, and it'll just make it that much easier for me to get on and off the bike. Good morning. And so I did that. And I don't know what happened, but I went to step off the bike and somehow I lost my balance. and the bike went one way, and my foot got caught on the bike, and the bike pulled me the other direction, and I really lost my balance, and I went flying over the bike, landed in the parking lot, and then the bike fell on top of me. And to add insult to injury, there was another dude riding by and on his bike. He saw it happen, and you know, he came over, super nice guy, and helped pick my bike up. And I got up, dusted myself off, felt like a complete buffoon, and went on my way. But I got a little road rash from it. Legs were hurt, skin up. My knee was skin up a little bit. Morning. And my arm was a little skin up. Stupid tax. So now, if somebody else had done that, and I wasn't moving, wasn't doing anything, you know, e-bike related, other than it was my e-bike, if I had broken something and had to go into the hospital, it would have been an e-bike related injury, but it was the same injury I could have gotten on any other bike. I could have had a beach cruiser and done the same thing on the beach cruiser. That was another one of those situations where my being out of shape, being fat, having a bad center of gravity or whatever, a bad sense of balance at the time, I caused that accident, and I would have caused that accident on any bike that I owned, right? But again, that number would have been chalked up to an e-bike injury. And so you probably have a lot of seniors who are excited to get out on their bike for mobility, and they might take a tumble doing something as simple as getting on their bike. And that's not a e-bike injury, that's just an injury from being old. And I see a lot of, elderly folks out here riding. I came across a woman and her son riding. She had to have been, man, I don't even want to say a number, but she had to have been, she was old enough to have been my mom. So she was up there. She was old enough to, she really looked like she was old enough to be my grandmother. And she was just struggling to get back on her bike. And her son had rode off from her, and he was, he looked like he could have been my dad. So, so I think they were both up there in age. But he had sort of ridden off from her, and she was struggling to get up onto her bike. And, which that scenario just really pissed me off. But if she had fallen and broke a hip, it wouldn't have been because she was riding an e-bike. It would have been because, and she wasn't riding an e-bike. As a matter of fact, she was riding just a traditional bike. If she had fallen and broke, she would have broken a hip probably, and I was scared she was gonna fall trying to get on the bike. I stopped and helped her, and it was like one of those situations where, man, somebody needs to watch after you. All right, quick break, and then we'll continue on. All right, gang. Break time's over. We're headed back through the park. I was gonna maybe go into Orange Beach a little bit and ride on their sidewalks, maybe down to one of the marinas I used to work at. But I looked at the radar, and that storm cell that was gonna cross the west side of 59 looks like it's expanded and might cross on this side as well. So I think it's in my best interest to sort of work my way back towards Homestead. I'll get what miles I can get in today and be happy with it. And I might just use my raincoat, get to use it. When I first started riding, I bought a raincoat so I would have it in case I got out here and it started pouring down rain, because that's the thing about living here. If you don't like the weather, give it 10 minutes and it can change on you that fast. This area is notorious for pop-up thunderstorms in the afternoons. So, anywho, I've never had to use that raincoat on a bike ride. I put it on one time after a storm to ride around the golf course because I thought it would probably rain on me a little bit. And instead of having to stop and get it out of a bag and use it, I just decided I'd wear it. Ooh, it doesn't breathe, I'll say that much. So if I have to wear it on the way home on a warm, humid morning, it's gonna be like wearing one of those sweatsuits from the 80s. So going home, I think we'll go through the campgrounds. I'd like to see if the campgrounds are just empty. See how many people are around. But we'll go through the campgrounds and then make our way back up Longleaf and go out. Probably go out by the school. Only got a couple of more days I can go out by the school in the morning without getting into early morning student drop-off. Either had to adjust my ride times to be later in the morning or in the afternoon. Have a good day. So we'll have to put off going down in through Orange Beach until another day. I mean, I could just ride somewhere and wait the storm out. Who knows how long that will be. You know what? I'm going to stop here. I'm going to get a real quick thumbnail picture with this chair. I've been thinking about doing it for a while. So let me do that real quick and we'll be back. All right. Little thumbnail pic. I forget to get them a lot of times. So I just do like video captures. These sunglasses are being stupid today. Probably just put my sunglasses away. Well, I could put them away, but morning. If it starts raining, I'm going to need them to keep the rain out of my eyes. Morning. I keep feeling little bits of water on me, but I don't know if that's coming out of the sky or if that's coming. Oh, it's definitely coming out of the sky. All right. I'll just keep on huffing on. If I can get up here to the end of the trail going into the campgrounds, I can get under a shed, put on my raincoat, and then we can reevaluate the situation. But I am definitely getting rained on. So, how much more video I get also will depend on how much rain gets on the camera. We'll see. I see the shelter up ahead. I don't mind a little bit of rain. It doesn't bother me that much. It's just, I can already see like a water droplet dropping off of the camera. So that's probably going to be an issue.
And what would this week be without an issue? I mean, at least the camera stayed on. It might have a water drop here and there, but we have video. We just don't have audio because I forgot to turn the mic back on when I resumed my ride. I sat for like 25 minutes in the rain, making some telephone calls and stuff. The mic shut off. So when I started riding again, I just didn't think about turning it on. So this little section is brought to you by the letter N for no audio. Anyways, I rode through the campgrounds. About the time I get to the end of it here, the rain has slacked up and started to quit. And then I got a little bit more drizzle, so I thought, well, I'll just keep on riding until it completely stops, which In hindsight, I wish I had stopped taking off the jacket right there, because yeah, this section hot and steamy inside that raincoat. Well, finally we get across Lake Shelby, stop, take a picture. I realize the audio's not working, and we'll reset and get the mic working. So I wanted to keep this little section of the video in because the reflection off the water is incredible right here. I hope you enjoy it. We'll snapshot a picture of the lake, and then we'll get going again.
It is much cooler without the rain gear on. Oh man, I'm glad it stopped raining. I don't have to worry about water on the camera and all that stuff now. Wasn't too long of a rain shower. It was long enough. I'll go this way. I'd like to not ride through as much water as possible. I'm in debate on which way to go home. I can go Lakeview, which we've done a bunch, or I can go up the highway into downtown. Just for something different. Different would be nice. If we're gonna do it, let's do it. We'll have to adjust for some big water holes, but we can make it. All right. We haven't done this in a while. Not go into town. Done a couple of trips out of town. Man, I saw this device online this week called a bike lane sweeper. Kind of like a lawn sweeper, but it's for clearing bike lanes, right? It tows behind your bike, much like a pet carrier would do. And you can use it to keep the bike lanes, get debris out of the bike lanes. I'm like, dadgum, I'd love to have one of those. Especially on Fort Morgan where they don't clean it very often. Just push it, they got two different models, like one picks everything up and then you have to empty it periodically. The other one just brushes everything off to the side and pushes it to the shoulder. And I'm thinking, man, that would be awesome on Fort Morgan with all that pine straw. As you ride down there, you're getting your exercise and you're cleaning cleaning off the trail at the same time. But it's like $3,000 for one. It's definitely something you would want for a municipality, not so much as an individual. But yeah, I can't be sinking $3,000 in for a hobby, and it would be neat if you could figure out a way to make money off of that. I don't see any traffic behind me, so I can get around this water puddle. Adjusting into the road just slightly. So we can go by the beach. Go by Surf Style again. We hadn't framed up the Wyland art in a video currently, or recently. Let's stop by Surf Style. Get a good. It always sucks. There's so many cars in the parking lot. You don't get a good look at it. I'd like to get a good shot with just the building. Without all the cars. Let's see, can I frame that? No. 2X won't get in there, won't get all of it in. I've got like a 2X earlier that cut both the sides off. I was hoping I could get a 1X tight enough to do it. And the video camera will pick up probably a pretty good still of it. And make sure my lens is good and clean. All right. Let's continue our journey home. Meant to look at how many miles I got. 17 miles. So it's about 3 more to get home. So that give us about 20. So yeah, might be able to get a good full run in today. Morning. Can I pass y'all on the left? How are you?
Good.
Morning. I was just being patient. I was in no hurry. Have a great day, guys. Do, do, do. Well. Morning. Actually, a nice little ride back. Do, do. So the bike's got me at 18.8. Strava's got me close to 18. So to get 25 in, I'm gonna have to ride a little extra today. I calculated the distance from the church up to where Eco Trail comes into Coyote Crossing, and that was only like three and a half. I think it was like 3.6. Whereas coming around the golf course is close to 6 miles. So it's definitely an advantage to go around the golf course as far as picking up some extra mileage. Morning. Now, I'll be honest with you. As much as I like big numbers and everything, I'm still just about the journey and riding for exercise and feeling good and all of that stuff, right? This week has been a little different for me because I've been wanting to rack up mileage because of the challenge. But you know, when the challenge is over, I'll probably go back to a little bit more relaxed riding and explore a little bit, like take some places that don't necessarily rack up distance. and just give me different journeys, like the Eastern Shore Trail or the Perdido Beach Trail, which I think if I started at Floribama and rode it, I think like out and back would maybe give me 10 miles. So I'm not going to get any huge distances out of it, but it would give me a decent ride and somewhere different to go. But in the back of my mind, I'm like talking to my sister earlier, and it's like we're both used to wanting to ride those long distances. Like I want to ride 20 miles every day, or close to 20 miles, 18, 20 miles, something in that area. 5-mile rides, 6-mile rides, they just don't do it for me unless it's like a recovery day where I need to get some miles in, but not major miles in. I've got a 19.7. If I went Regency down to the Bodenheimer, I could accumulate a little bit more mileage. Or we can just go down a little bit down Fort Morgan Road, maybe down to the gas station. On your left. Morning. I think probably just going, maybe we dip some neighborhoods, I don't know. I feel good though. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I feel really good today. I made a lot of adjustments to my bike Saturday afternoon. And I rode yesterday, and while I got 22 miles in yesterday, I'll be honest, I was a little uncomfortable on the bike because I made so many adjustments to like my seat position, seat angle, adjusted the height slightly. All of those things felt really alien to me because I was so used to riding in a certain position that when I went out yesterday and rode, it just didn't feel right. It was comfortable, but it didn't feel right. Today feels a lot better. On your right. No problem. I just wanted to let you know. Good morning. Oh, so that's 20 on the bike, which is probably off on Strava. I don't know, maybe by the time we get to the Catholic Church, we'll be at 21, 22. Like I said, I'd like to get 25 in today. .8 would keep me on track to maintain my pace. Obviously, I only needed 0.8 of a mile to get to 200 miles. So if I get 25.8 today, that would give me 225 and leave me with just 3 days left to complete my journey. my challenge. And I'd like to get that done because I'd like to put the bike in the shop for a few days. And I don't know how long it would take them to service the bike. They may be able to do it in a day, but I also don't want to rush them. Good morning. So, so once I get this challenge complete, then I think I will let them work on this bike. Morning. And I'll get I have an M2. We were talking about that earlier. I did acquire an M2 eventually because my sister bought her bike online. She bought the M2. She didn't like the M2 because the M2 is a step over, and she got it and couldn't really ride it well. It was a little bit too tall for her, and being a step over frame, she had issues with that. So I bought her an M1 because that's what she wanted. She wanted that step through frame. And so I bought her an M1 and just swapped the M1 with the M2 and ended up with the M2 now. So, morning. I figured it would be good. I'd have a spare bike that if family came into town, wanted to go ride, or I had a friend wanted to go ride with me, I'd have a second bike and they could go. And in this case, if I put my bike in the shop and it's more than a day or two, I'd have a bike that I could go tootle around on and at least make a little bit of mileage. I might not make a ton of mileage, but I make a little bit of mileage. Morning. I think I need to make a little bit more of adjustment to my seat just to lean it forward just a little bit more. I found I was sitting too much, like the seat angle was the nose was too high. So I've been gradually tilting the nose down. On Saturday, I took a really aggressive swing at it, which was pretty good, but it still needed, I felt like it still needed more, so I made another slight adjustment on Sunday. And I think I probably could make another minor adjustment to it to help me out as well. So I think I will do that as well. I've been toying with the idea of getting a different set of handlebars for this one, like a commuter style handlebar that kind of swoops back a little bit like your beach cruiser handlebars. This one doesn't come back as much. It's not a really aggressive straight across mountain bike type handlebar. It does have some swoop backwards, but it's not nearly as much as you would get on a cruiser bike. So I've thought about getting that, but my cables are so short. I think if I did it, I'd have issues with the cables, which the bike shop's like, well, you know, if we want to do it, we can do it, and we can always, if we, you know, it's under warranty. If we break a cable, we can always get new ones. Hey, good morning. which I like those guys. They're straight up with you. Like if you say, hey, well, do you have X amount of thing, right? Do you have this? And you can see it on the shelf, you know. Dude's got it behind him. And he'll be straight up honest with you. Well, I buy my stuff I buy this off of Amazon and I get it for X amount of dollars. I don't really mark it up much. But if you want it, you could just order it off of Amazon. Good morning. I like honesty like that, you know? Like he's like, well, if you wanted to increase the height, you can get a riser or an extension. And I can order it or you can order it. On your left. And, you know, he's just not out to nickel and dime you to death. And he's like, well, you know, ride the bike. If something breaks, it's under warranty, we'll fix it. And if you want to do this, if you want to extend the handlebars and we break a wire doing it, we'll fix it. And I'll just have to order a replacement, or, you know, something goes out, I can pull it off another bike and put it on yours, and then I can get that piece replaced. All right, so to here, 22.3 miles. So let's ride up to the dollar store. I think we ride up to the dollar store, and just now my left knee says, oh, hey, you probably ought to be taking me home. So let's ride up to the dollar store and accumulate a couple more miles, and then we can pedal it back, and I'll get my 25 in today. And be good. It's funny, just when I say, yeah, I feel good, then my knee just decides to throw a wrench into everything. I'm not doing anything stupid today, though. I'm not going all the way down to Jesse's, nor am I going all the way to the end of Fort Morgan, trying to rack up some magical number that I don't need to be riding. We'll ride this section, ride back to the church, and I will be done. Stick a fork in me. Hey, good morning. Good to see you. There's about a handful of people I see out here every day when I ride. It also depends on what time of the day I ride too. Like, it seems like in the morning, there's more familiar faces than there are in the afternoon. When I was riding the afternoons, there'd be about, I don't know, 3 or 4 people that I would see that I recognized on a regular basis. Where in the mornings, there might be 6, 10. Especially that one group with the dogs. That's 4 right there. That gentleman, well, the last two joggers we passed coming towards me, both of those gentlemen I see pretty much on a regular basis in the morning. The first gentleman, I tend to catch him when he's heading down Fort Morgan Road. Like as I'm coming home, he's usually headed down. Well, he might be behind schedule because of the weather. All right, so instead of going all the way to Dollar General, I think we'll go up to this intersection, maybe turn around there. Morning. Forget what I just said. We'll go up here all the way to the gas station, turn around and come out. Or we won't. This is good enough. All right. Nice little ride back to the church, and I'm done for the day. I should have my 25. Or be really freaking close to it. What's it tell me now? 22.6. Yeah, I'll get it. If I got to ride around the church several times, I'll get it. As always, I'll post the Strava card at the end of the ride so you can see how many miles we accumulated on the journey. But since you just saw this scenery, I think I will go ahead and just wrap up the video. Say thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out. I need 500 folks to get the channel monetized. I'd like to make a little money off the effort I'm making. So it'd be nice. Make $1 or $2. But I got a long ways before I can monetize the channel. Can't let YouTube make all that money without giving me a cut. So yeah, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share it with your friends. Hey, there's this fat guy that rides a bike every day. He's losing weight doing it. You might enjoy it. He talks about stupid stuff along the way. He's very opinionated. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Do hope you have a wonderful day, a blessed day. And hope you'll come back for the next ride. Until then, God bless. Have a great one. Bye.